In the desolate expanse of the Aegir system, orbiting a dying blue giant, floated the ice-covered moon of Aegir IX. For decades, this frozen wasteland had been written off as a geological dead end until now. Dr. Elara Voss, exobiologist and head of the Odyssey Deep Space Research Corps, leaned over her console aboard the Erebus, eyes locked on a data stream unlike anything she had seen in her 19-year career. It began as a rhythmic pulse, faint but consistent. A signal. Not random noise or gravitational anomalies, no, this had language embedded in it. Repetition, structure, symmetry. Like a call or a warning. It had been emanating from the depths of the ice moon, 47 kilometers beneath the surface. Elara activated the intercom. "Commander Reyes, you need to see this." Within moments, the bridge doors hissed open and Commander Dorian Reyes entered, his face carved by years in command. "What do we have, Doctor?" "It's artificial. This isn't from tectonic movement or magnetosphere interference. It's coming from a fixed point below the southern hemisphere, a latitude 71.6, longitude 184.9. The pattern matches no known natural phenomena." Reyes studied the transmission. It pulsed in intervals of 13.7 seconds. "How deep?" "Just above the core layer. We're talking subglacial, beyond the standard drill depth. The ice sheet there is nearly crystalline, diamond-like structure, likely from millions of years of compression. Something's transmitting from under that." The ship's AI, Cyrus, interrupted. "Captain, I've initiated spectrum analysis. Energy readings suggest a fusion-based reactor, ancient yet still operational. Estimated origin, 300,000 years ago." Reyes narrowed his eyes. "An alien power source?" Elara nodded slowly. "If this is what we think it is, then we've found the oldest continuous signal in the galaxy. It predates human civilization. Within the hour, they dispatched the first scout module. Codenamed Helios 3, equipped with thermal drills, seismic mappers, and an encrypted transmission link. The crew watched as it descended through the vertical borehole, guided by remote thrusters, vanishing into the icy abyss. "Telemetry is stable," the technician called out. "Descending past 12 kilometers." Elara's voice quivered with restrained awe. "If there's something down there, this isn't just discovery. It's contact." The module sent back its first thermal imaging report. A ring-shaped cavern structure emerged in the infrared feed, too perfect to be natural. Inside the ring, a towering spire of obsidian-like material wrapped in coils of flickering blue energy. Then, just before the feed cut out, a shadow moved across the spire, slow, deliberate, enormous. The signal changed. For the first time in 300,000 years, it responded. The moment the signal changed, every system aboard the Erebus flickered. Lights dimmed. Monitors blinked into static. For 1.3 seconds, the entire ship existed in a bubble of silence, no hum of the engine core, no atmospheric circulation, not even the whir of fans in the consoles. A dead, vacuum-like hush. Then everything rebooted at once. Commander Reyes was on his feet, barking commands. "Status report." The technician closest to the comms console struggled to stabilize the telemetry feed. "We lost all data link with Helios 3. The module's offline. No explosion, no crash report. Just gone." "Gone?" Elara's voice trembled, but it wasn't fear, it was realization. "They didn't destroy it. They took it." Reyes turned slowly to face her. "Are you suggesting whatever's down there has intention?" She nodded. "That shadow in the final frame, it wasn't geological movement. It wasn't liquid dynamics. That was a being." Cyrus, the AI, added with synthetic calm. "Telemetry indicates the transmission has adapted its waveform. It now mirrors early human binary, a form of 10-bit structured logic. The message contains repetitive syntax loops as if it is translating." Reyes narrowed his gaze. "Translating what?" A long pause. Cyrus continued, "Translating us." For a moment, no one spoke. The implication was enormous. Something beneath Aegir IX was listening, learning. And now it had begun speaking back. Elara paced slowly. "If it's mapping our language, that means it's sentient. It's aware of our presence. And it's interested." Then, as if to confirm her thoughts, the signal spiked. Not in volume, but in complexity. The waveform blossomed into fractals, geometric symmetry cascading through all audio frequencies. A strange harmony of sound and mathematics. Patterns overlapped with ancient mandalas, Fibonacci spirals, and high-order prime sequencing. It was like watching a cathedral being built in real time, one layer at a time. Except in code. The crew watched in awe as the visualizer displayed the signal. It began to form images, schematics, architecture, or something more terrifying. A structure. A labyrinth. A network of tunnels leading toward the spire, beneath it, around it, and spiraling deeper. Elara felt a cold sweat trickle down her spine. That's not just a base. It's a vault. Reyes leaned closer. Or a prison. Then came the sound. At first, barely audible. But it grew like a heartbeat thudding through the speakers. Slow. Ancient. Mechanical. It was not part of the signal. It was outside the signal. A second presence. A voice, if it could be called that, rumbled low through the speakers. Not in words, but in raw intent. It bypassed the ears and went straight to the mind. Do not open what was closed. The crew fell silent. Some clutched their heads. One collapsed. And Elara whispered more to herself than anyone, we were never meant to find this. But they already had. And it was too late to turn back. The words, or whatever passed for them, echoed inside every member of the crew. Do not open what was closed. But the message had not stopped them. If anything, it had pulled them closer. The signal was no longer just a scientific anomaly, it was a siren, intelligent and aware, calling across the void from beneath Aegir IX. Commander Reyes stood frozen before the bridge console, his fingers trembling slightly. He was a hardened man, forged in the crucible of failed expeditions and silent shipwrecks on forgotten moons. But this was different. There was a chill in his bones no heat could fight off. Prep Helios 4, he finally ordered. Elara turned sharply. You're sending another? We're already in it, Reyes said. This is first contact or first warning. Either way, we need answers. And we're not getting them from orbit. She didn't argue. She knew he was right. Within hours, Helios 4, a manned descent capsule, had been retrofitted with layered shielding, neural dampeners, and manual overrides that hadn't been tested in decades. Elara volunteered to go along with Lieutenant Farron, a no-nonsense operations engineer, and Dr. Harove, a xenolinguist who had only spoken 3 sentences since the signal began. He claimed he was listening. The 4th sentence he finally uttered was this. It's not a warning. It's a memory. As they descended through the frozen borehole 40 kilometers deep, the radio was silent. Not silent like absence. Silent like waiting. Pressure increased, walls of glittering ice flashed past. The ship's thermal drill vaporized passage through layers that had never seen light. At 47 kilometers, Helios 4 entered the cavern. And they saw it. The spire. Blacker than shadow, impossibly tall, humming with thin ribbons of blue light like veins of starlight bleeding from stone. Surrounding it, the vault. An octagonal ring of alien architecture etched with symbols that shimmered and shifted as if alive. The symbols didn't repeat, they evolved. Dr. Vey whispered, this is not built. It's grown. Elara approached the command console in the pod, aligning the sensors. As the spire's resonance increased, it began to vibrate, not physically, but on the quantum level. The vault was reacting to their presence, layers unlocking in sequence like the petals of some monstrous flower. Suddenly, Farron's vitals spiked. His breathing quickened, eyes wide. He wasn't looking at the spire. He was staring at the wall of the vault, where something moved. A shape pressed against the stone from the inside like a face in wax. A face with no mouth, but hundreds of eyes. And all of them opened at once. Motion. Elara shouted. Something's inside the walls. The vault groaned, a sound like metal under pressure and sorrow given form. The entire structure pulsed and the transmission resumed. This time, it was a flood of emotion, memory, loss, and hatred. Images seared across their minds. Ships reduced to ash, stars collapsing, creatures buried alive in ice. And one word burned through them all. Remains. Dr. Vey collapsed to his knees. This place, it's not a base. Elara turned to him, breath caught in her throat. It's a graveyard. And something buried within it had just woken up. The whisper of the vault's walls no longer sounded like metal stress. It was breathing. A slow, rhythmic exhalation from stone that should not be alive, pulsing through Helios for like a heartbeat from some ancient, forgotten god. Elara stared at the face-like impression that had bulged from the wall. Now it was gone, reseated back into the alien alloy, but its presence lingered in her bones. The vault's interior was changing. Geometry was shifting. The spire's glow had intensified, blue veins racing faster along its surface like the awakening of a nervous system. Dr. Harove sat slumped, whispering to himself in fragmented syllables. It's not hate. It's memory. It's all memory. Farron scanned with his visor. Lifeform readings are non-oxygenic. Biothermal pockets, but dispersed. They're not moving like organisms. More like ambient consciousness. Elara knelt beside Harrow. What do you mean, memory? He looked up. This place isn't just old. It's thinking. Reacting. Everything, these walls, the spire, the light, it's all part of a single entity. Not alive in the way we define it, but aware. It's remembering us. Rhea's voice crackled over the comms. Helios 4, report. Elara replied, the vault is active. We're detecting non-organic cognition. This may be a containment site, possibly for something dangerous. Reyes responded coldly, then it's time to understand what's contained. Proceed deeper. The spire's base had opened. A spiral ramp had unfolded from the central structure, carved from obsidian and etched with glyphs that shimmered under their lights. With each step down, their suits recorded gravitational inconsistencies, micro-changes in physics, as if rules of nature had been weakened here, rewritten. Halfway down, the whispering began again. Not from the walls. From within their minds. It wasn't words, it was images, a city of towers hanging upside down beneath an ocean of stars, creatures of translucent skin folded into cocoons of flame, and a machine, a vast wheel spinning inside a dying sun. Harrow stumbled, falling to his knees. Wait, he gasped. It's trying to show us what it was built to stop. Suddenly, the spiral ramp ended in a vast open chamber, the core sepulchre. A perfectly circular room with no apparent walls, only darkness stretching in every direction like they stood in the eye of a void. Suspended in the center was a sarcophagus. It was encased in magnetic rings, suspended with beams of red light, ancient symbols swirling around it. The material wasn't stone or metal, it was semi-living matter, soft and cold, reacting slightly to their presence like skin touched by breath. And then it pulsed. The sarcophagus throbbed, and every light inside the vault flickered. A single voice, deeper than time itself, entered their minds. You have breached the seal. The last war will begin anew. Elara gasped. It's not a tomb. Farron's hands shook as he raised his scanner. It's a prison. The magnetic rings trembled. The sarcophagus cracked, and something inside it moved. The sarcophagus shuddered, its outer membrane splitting down the center like an ancient chrysalis about to burst. Elara took a cautious step back, eyes locked on the jagged line forming along the artifact's center. Each fracture pulsed with crimson light, pulses that echoed in her chest like distant thunder under her ribs. Power spikes rising, Farron whispered. Magnetic containment failing. The fields collapsing. Harrow, still kneeling, sweat glistening on his pale brow, lifted his head slowly, eyes glazed. It's not just waking up. It's being remembered. Elara narrowed her eyes. What does that mean? He turned his gaze to the opening tomb. The entity doesn't live by choice. It exists because something else remembers it. This vault is memory made real, alive with the thoughts of an extinct civilization. The warden, it was buried, yes. But the memory of what it was is still active. And now that we've seen it, we've reactivated that memory. The first piece of the sarcophagus peeled away, not with force, but with grace. As if the entity within was unfolding itself back into reality. What emerged was not a body, it was shape without symmetry, motion without sound, a presence more than a form. Light bent around it, not from gravity but from intention. It had eyes too many and too deep, but none were for seeing. They were for knowing. Farron raised his weapon, but his arms froze mid-motion. I can't. The entity was projecting interference directly into his nervous system. Not pain control. A field of paralyzing comprehension. Elara could feel it too. Memories not her own poured into her, flashes of worlds shattered by thought alone, of machines consumed by their own creators, of languages that spoke themselves into extinction. And above all, a single moment shared across millennia. An ancient council of beings not human, not even biological, faced the creature now waking before them. They had no weapons, only a machine. A vault designed not to kill, but to forget. To erase every trace of the entity from the stars. It was not imprisoned by force. It was entombed by oblivion. But now that oblivion had been broken. Harrow stepped forward, mesmerized. We were never meant to remember you. But someone, or something, has been dreaming of you still. The creature turned its many-eyed gaze toward him. A low hum vibrated through the chamber, shaking the walls. A beam of darkness shot from the spire above, striking the floor in a ring around the sarcophagus. Circuits lit up in the stone, patterns within patterns. Like a second vault awakening. Cyrus's voice crackled through Elara's earpiece, faint but present. Emergency alert. A secondary signal has begun transmission. Wideband. Origin, Aegir IX. Target, unknown. Language, undecipherable. She realized with a rush of terror it wasn't signaling us. It was calling to something else. Shut it down. Reyes yelled through the comm, shut it down now. But the systems in Helios 4 went dark. In the chamber, the vault ceiling opened like the iris of a dying god. Stars spilled through. But something else was coming through too. Not ships. Not life forms. Echoes. Things that should never have been remembered. And the creature inside the vault, unbound, whispered with a mouthless voice. We were many. You remembered one. And with that, the warden rose. The warden rose like a storm-given form, its essence towering above the chamber, black as collapsed stars. Around it, gravity shifted. Elara felt the pull in her bones like her mass no longer obeyed physics, but memory. The creature wasn't just alive, it was reassembling itself from the fabric of reality like a dream slowly returning after centuries of silence. A second sarcophagus began to stir across the chamber. And then a third. Each pulsed faintly under the floor, previously invisible. Now awakening. Multiple containment breaches, Farron gasped, eyes fixed on his flickering monitor. The vault is responding like a network, a cascade release. This wasn't built to hold one prisoner. It was a whole pantheon. Above them, the iris in the vault ceiling widened farther. Through it, the sky of Aegir IX appeared, cold, alien, and now fractured. The ice above them wasn't cracking from pressure. It was parting like it was no longer a solid. The entire glacier layer shifted state, becoming translucent, semi-fluid, alive. What's happening to the ice? Elara whispered. Dr. Harrow answered with eerie calm. It's responding to the warden's mind. This whole moon is a biomechanical shell. The ice isn't dead. It's a neural lattice. They didn't bury the warden beneath it, they wove the vault into the planet itself. The creature hovered, neither touching the floor nor floating. The air around it collapsed into void, then reformed as fractured fragments of possible shapes. Human minds weren't made to perceive it whole. Elara's thoughts spiraled, words lost all meaning. Time itself jittered in and out of sequence. Then, the call. A deep, low-frequency tone burst from the warden like a seismic scream, inaudible to human ears but not to space. Cyrus's voice returned, corrupted and stuttering. Incoming signal, no response. Object detected. High-mass anomaly, near orbit. A hologram projected from Farron's console, something enormous was descending through the planet's orbit. It was not a ship nor a comet. It was a structure. A black monolith, 9 kilometers wide, falling without propulsion. Elara stared, realization blooming like terror. It's not coming from space. It was parked just outside normal reality. The warden's signal pulled it back in. The vault shook. Ice and stone melted upward into spiral columns. The floor became transparent, revealing more chambers below, some broken, some empty. Thousands of them, Farron muttered. Vaults beneath vaults. All buried under false geology. Then came the most human moment of all. Reyes, from orbit, spoke plainly. Elara. Abort the mission. Detach and rise. We'll seal the borehole. Those things cannot reach the surface. But she already knew it was too late. The ice above was breaking not from inside. It was being opened like a lid. The structure now in upper orbit began to unfold. Massive limbs stretched from its core. It was no ship. It was a receiver. Built to gather consciousness like an antenna collects signals. A machine designed to remember what must remain forgotten. The warden turned toward Elara, its presence pressing on her mind like centuries of grief. You are the memory, it said without speaking. And you have remembered too much. The chamber cracked. The sky bled. And the first vault god stepped free. The vault god rose like a dream that had outlived the sleeper. It had no face, no limbs in any recognizable way, only a shape that suggested it had once been many things. Stars blinked and faltered behind it. Not because of its size, but because its presence bent truth. Around the warden, time shivered. Above, the monolithic receiver, 9 kilometers wide, unfolded its limbs fully. It was absorbing the warden's awakening like a sponge drinking in nightmares. Not to contain it. To amplify it. Cyrus, still flickering through corrupted bandwidth, whispered a fragmented translation. Signal matched. Synaptic array online. Vault network unlocking. Recollection. Begun. Within the vault, the spire pulsed again. Below the floor, more sarcophagi activated. Hundreds. Maybe thousands. All across the moon's substructure, ancient layers of entombed memory began to vibrate like tuning forks. And above the planet, something answered. An object phased into orbit. Not moving, but appearing, as though distance was no longer a requirement. It was shaped like a cube carved from black glass. orbiting at impossible speed while remaining completely still. Cyrus pinged it with every known frequency. No reply. Elara and her crew remained frozen in place inside the core sepulchre, pinned under the weight of impossible knowledge. Her hands trembled. Her mouth was dry. It wasn't fear. It was data, too much data. Her brain was being rewritten by awareness. Dr. Harrow Vey fell against the wall, clutching his head. It's inside us. Not telepathy. Not psionics. It's retrocausal memory infection. Farron blinked. What the hell is that supposed to mean? It's rewriting our pasts, Harrow muttered, gasping between words. We're not being attacked. We're being revised. Elara's hand hovered above her wrist terminal. A memory surfaced, Reyes promoting her to mission lead 2 years ago. But now it wasn't Reyes. The memory glitched. Another voice replaced his. Something ancient. Cold. She couldn't tell what was real anymore. Then the ice above the chamber disintegrated, not exploded, but dissolved into blue dust that hung in the air like stardust. The warden looked up. It had completed the signal. And from the receiver in orbit, a beam of pulsing red light struck the vault's core. It didn't destroy it. It fed it. The pulse spread outward, a wave of harmonic resonance firing across the ice moon's neural lattice. What had once been passive architecture was now an active mind. The planet